All right, hey there, and welcome back. And as I'm recording this, I just got back from taking my kids to the beach. It was such a fun time. And yes, I can do family life and beach life and business life without sacrificing any of it. Okay. So for today, if you're listening to this in real time, then today is the day that summer and expansion starts. And if you are like, oh my goodness, I wanted to join, but I didn't, don't worry. A few other women jumped in last minute, so you could be there too. We'd love to see you live. We start today, June 2nd at 1 Eastern. But even if you're listening to this after the fact, you can always join in after or grab the course version of this as well. Okay, so for today, we're going to be diving into that feeling of like you're so excited that something big has happened, and you think that whenever you hit that, it's going to be like the epitome, the pinnacle of everything, and then it's like a total letdown. So let me tell you about my situation when this first happened. So whenever I was first in my business, whenever I first had my first like high 5-figure one, I thought that meant that like I would make it. And so whenever I got there and like it actually everything came into my account, I was like, whoa, like I made it. This means that I must be good enough. This means that I must be blah blah blah, whatever. That is what I thought for a second, but it did not last. Literally within like 30 seconds of getting that money to hit my account, everything started to come back where it was like this waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like this can't last. Nothing is guaranteed. Things like that. Okay. So again, I did not feel amazing. I did not cry those happy tears. I was grateful, but I wasn't like so grateful. I literally remember where I was sitting. I was in a hotel room. I just had 3 clients close, and it was a pretty big amount to my account. I literally just sat there and waited for like something to go wrong, because it was like, it can't be like this. It can't be this simple to make this much money. And it was really, really scary. And so for the first 48 hours, it was like waiting for something bad to happen. And then after that, it was like, well, how in the world am I ever going to repeat that? Like, I can't repeat that. Like, how's this going to happen? And then I felt guilty for not feeling super grateful. And like, it was just this vicious cycle. And so I have thought about that moment a lot since then, not only for my own personal reasons, but also because of the women that I work with. They go through very, very, very similar things as well. Okay. And I really want to talk about what's underneath of all of that. And that's what we're going to get into, because like, yes, it was somewhat of a culmination of all the strategy, like the effort and the results, like they were because of those things, because of everything I'd invested. But there was more to it that I didn't even realize I was doing. And I was also sabotaging at the same time. And I'm going to guess if you're listening to this, you are in the same place where, yes, you're getting amazing results, whether that's in life or in business, but also you're somewhat self-sabotaging. Okay. And again, I know this because I know who you are who listens to this. And I know that this is exactly what you likely do without even really realizing it. Okay. And so again, you are the person who is like objectively like really good. Like you are a good hearted person. You are a kind person. You are really good at getting results. Whatever you put your mind to, you get that thing done. Right. And like, whenever you do it, you're like, I crushed that. Like, I did it so well. And yet there's also this like kind of little nagging feeling sometimes where it's like, okay, I thought that this would help me feel better. And like it did for a minute, and then it kind of just went away. And that can be so, so, so frustrating. So frustrating. Okay. And so eventually you kind of start to just think like, okay, like something must be wrong with me that I'm not grateful. And then you get again into that guilt, and then you go into that shame, and then that spiral that I mentioned earlier. So what do? You kind of just keep on living. You make dinner, you do the laundry, you scroll on your phone before, more so than you really want to. You sit at the table with your family, but like in the background of your mind, you're always thinking like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like everything in my life is so good. My business is doing well. Life is good. Something has to go wrong soon. And I know this for me, that like I totally felt like that. I remember literally saying that to one of my coaches at the time. And again, it was like a huge shift whenever I finally was able to understand why I was feeling this, and also how to heal myself from feeling this. And so again, this is where you are now if you are listening to this podcast. And this also shows up physically as well. So like last week, I was literally talking with a woman who was kind of going through some big things. And she said that at the end of our conversation, she was like, Bridget, my shoulders, my neck don't hurt anymore. And she was like, they've been hurting for weeks. And because that is your body's way of saying like something is wrong. And so we cannot just think of this as like this isolated thing. Our mind is so powerful. Our nervous system is so powerful, and it's literally telling our bodies exactly what to do. Okay? And this can show up in different ways. It doesn't have to be the shoulders and the neck. It could show up as like you getting sick more often. You're not sleeping the way that you used to. You said yes to the thing, and then you're like, why in the world did I say yes to that thing? Like, you cannot remember the last time you just sat down and like were content and were feeling like you didn't have to go and like answer emails or things like that. And so right now, like that is the program that is running in your mind, that if you do not stop, then the other shoe's going to drop and everything's going to fall apart. And the good and the bad is that you are really, really good at not stopping. Like, you're really, really good at it. However, it's literally costing you so much more than you realize. You might not think it is because you are like the go-getter who gets things done, but it's costing you your health, your relationships, your trust in God, like so much. Okay? So we could talk about schedules, but the schedule is not actually a problem. We could talk about boundaries. Boundaries are somewhat of a problem, but they're really more of like the thing that they're a symptom. We could talk about time management. But again, it's not really time management. It's a symptom. It's not like morning, evening routines. Those are all symptoms. Okay. So basically what everybody is trying to teach you is to fix the symptom. Well, we don't want to fix the symptom. We actually want to fix the root cause for why the symptoms are showing up. So yes, obviously the symptoms are super, super important. We do not want to discount them. But we also don't just want to focus on them specifically. We really want to get to the root so that our bodies stop needing to have these symptoms in the first place. Okay, so now what's actually happening in your body is that your nervous system is stuck in a state of chronic, like low-grade threat, essentially. And this can be, again, you've heard these words like fight, flight, freeze, or even shut down. And whenever we think, like, let's, for a second, like, I really want to be specific about what this all means, because I think the word stress has been so that it's sort of stopped meaning anything. But essentially, without getting too much in the weeds, your autonomic nervous system is the system that runs below your conscious awareness. And it decides at every single moment whether you are safe or whether something is going to try to kill you. Or basically, whether you're not safe. And it has literally two settings. That's it. Safe and unsafe. There's no like gray area in between. There is a regulated state. This is like the safe state. This is where your prefrontal cortex is online. This is where you can think clearly, you think logically, you can be present, you can access that creative mind, you can actually like be present with your kids and like hear what your daughter is saying instead of just thinking about something else. And then there's the opposite, which is the survival state. Again, there's literally only two states that you can be in. With the survival state, this is where something in your brain called the amygdala takes over. What happens is that your cortisol spikes. So we've probably all heard of cortisol. If you've been in the wellness world for a little while, cortisol is essentially a stress hormone. That spikes. And what it does is it pulls your body, like it pulls basically all of the body's resources towards that threat response and away from everything else. Okay, so again, it's very cut and dry with your body. You're either safe, like you're present, or you're unsafe and you are needing to survive. That's literally it. Okay. You cannot access presence from a survival state. It's literally not a choice. You cannot cognitively say, I'm choosing to be present and forget about this bear that's going to kill me. Okay? That's not how our bodies work. It's not how they're wired. Once you can understand that, you can have some compassion for yourself and for others and really understand that this is, again, our body's way of just trying to keep us safe and keep us alive. So it's nothing with discipline. It's not a choice. It's literally just how God created us. When your nervous system believes that there's a threat, especially like your presence with your children is literally neurologically unavailable to you. So if you are living in a chronically like threatened state, you literally cannot be present with your children because your body has stated that this is not necessary and that we need to first stay alive and then we can be present. Okay? So it literally takes your brain offline and into survival mode. Again, this is not something you can just like control and flip a switch. It's something that is wired into us and is good until we stay in that state for too, okay? And so as practical examples, because most of us are not walking around in the woods with cougars and bears and lions, this could even just be something like your email inbox, right? This can be a email inbox that is like totally crazy, totally overwhelming. You have so many emails to respond to, so many text messages, whatever it is. That can literally put you into a state of unsafe, okay? And for most women, like for you specifically, the ones who are building businesses while also trying to be a really good present others, there is this belief that lives in the body, again, not the mind, that goes back a really, really long time. And this belief states that you're only safe when you are producing. Okay? It also states that like your value is located in your output. We see this all the time with like that hustle culture, with trying to compare ourselves to men, productivity, things like that. Basically, like if you stop moving, like if you just rest, or if you not even rest, but if you slow the pace down, then something bad is going to happen. Okay? And again, you probably cannot pinpoint this exact moment where you learned this, but your nervous system, your body learned this, okay? For better or for worse. And so you feel it every single time you try to like sit still, or you try to talk to somebody that you don't want to talk to, like your skin starts to crawl and you're like, oh my goodness, your chest drops, whatever it is for you. And you're basically, again, just waiting for the other shoe to drop, even though things are going really well. Even though you just had your best month. And again, it feels like a threat is going to happen instead of just really being able to be present and embrace what is happening. Okay. Again, I really want to repeat this. Nothing is wrong. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it was meant to do in order to keep you safe. Okay. But again, you learned that safety was conditional. And again, it's not conditional, right? And you have been running that same program that you learned literally before you were 10 years old, and you're applying it to your everyday life. And you might be like, Bridget, this doesn't make any sense. It does make sense, because think about way back. Maybe if you have kids, you've probably heard like that babies' nervous systems are immature. This is why they need their moms in order to like imprint and to learn what is safe versus not safe, and to feel comfortable and to feel safe with their parents. That same thing, your nervous system does not mature until about the age of 7 to 10-ish years old. It depends on the person. And so literally every single thing that you are learning from the time that you are born until you're about the age of 10, you are taking that in, and you were saying, this is what keeps me safe. This is what doesn't keep me safe. It's not this cognitive thing. You cannot rationalize it. It's just what your body perceives as safety. Okay? And so we can't not talk about this. But in the Gospel of Luke, there is a woman named Martha. And with Martha, this really gets glossed over, because Martha was really good. Like, Martha was the one who gets things done. You've probably heard of like, are you a Mary or a Martha? And like the goal is to be both. However, with Martha, again, Martha got stuff done. She welcomed Jesus into her home. She prepared meals. She kind of ran the whole operation, let's just say. And her sister Mary was, quote unquote, just sitting at Jesus's feet, doing what looked like from the outside like nothing. And so again, both of these women were incredibly useful. Both of them had incredibly good skills. But the difference is that Martha comes to Jesus, and I love that she comes to Jesus with this. She says, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me. And what's so interesting is what Jesus says. So Jesus says back something that is like the most important, from my perspective, the most important thing that he could have said to her. He says, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Martha, Martha. And what I think is so interesting is I read this multiple times, because at first I'm like, that's an annoying answer. But as I'm reading it and trying not to think about it, trying to allow the Lord to speak to me about it, what I first notice is that he says Martha, Martha, and he says her name twice. He doesn't just say Martha. And the way that I perceive that is like this like tenderness, this like loving tenderness that can only come from the Lord. And what he is saying is, he's not rebuking her. He's not saying like, how dare you? Like, Mary is my mother. Like, she deserves this, blah, 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 right? He's acknowledging what she has said. He's acknowledging that she's feeling this way, but he's also not like giving in to what she's saying either. Like, he's almost challenging her a little bit, and not in a mean or negative way, but in like, again, a really like beautiful, tender-hearted way, because he loves her. And so right now, you're probably in the same space where you are worried about and upset about a lot of different things, right? And just like Martha, like, you are not lazy. You do all the things. Like, you are really, really good at what you do. Tracy, can you get those pages? But Martha was worried. And she was a woman who was showing up so consistently, but she felt like she couldn't stop moving long enough to like sit at the feet of the person who was sitting in her living room, which was Jesus. And so it might not be this extreme for us. Maybe Jesus is in your living room. That would be amazing. But it's more of like the idea that this is a nervous system pattern, that this is a woman whose body's decided that like that stopping was not safe. And Jesus just gently like acknowledged it and like was very kind with it. And so like right now you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. And that one thing is not on your to-do list. It's not to make better content or to do more things or to do whatever. It is the capacity to receive instead of produce. Okay? Because the reason your income ceiling has not moved is because you already have strategy, right? And the reason that it has not moved is because your nervous system is running a survival program that was built in whenever you were a child. And again, I know I've said multiple times, but you literally cannot cognitively work your way through this. Okay? And so, again, circling back here, I had my best month ever and literally waited for it all to be taken away from me because I believed that it was not safe, that it was not okay. And that did make me want to work harder until I realized, read this passage of Jesus acknowledging that it's okay if I just sit. And when that place inside of you that is waiting for the other shoe to drop finally calms down and says, okay, I can just sit. That's whenever things start to really shift. Okay. And I do want to acknowledge it's not an easy place to be, but it's such a powerful place to be because it will literally change everything. And so this summer I am running Summer of Expansion. Again, we start today whenever this goes live, and it's built specifically for you, that woman that I just described. The one who's so good at her job, so good at everything, but just really struggles with this idea of needing to overwork or be at a greater output, things like that. You're so frustrated because you cannot figure out why things are not moving. Now you're doing all the things. We're going to go to the root. Again, we don't do symptom work here. We're going to go to the root of that capacity ceiling using nervous system science, using Christ at the center, which is the only combination that I have found that actually makes these things stick. If you are interested, the link is in the show notes. Again, even if you are a couple of weeks late, message me. We'll see what we can do. But even if it's not ready if you're not ready for it right now, that's okay. But I want you to take one thing away from today. The next goal is not going to give you what you want. It's not going to give you that feeling that you actually are chasing, because you are going to hit that goal because you are that person, and you are going to wait for the other shoe to drop, and then you're going to find the next one. And again, it's because you have this pattern that your body has learned, and it cannot be satiated by a revenue number. It cannot be satiated by doing a certain thing, right? Think back to Martha. She literally had Jesus in her living room. She felt that she was too busy to sit down. And so right now, your family's at the table, but you feel too busy to sit down. And that is worth fixing, because that is going to shift every single thing in your life. Not even your life, but your kids' life, your relationships, everything. So again, if you are interested in learning more, definitely click on the show notes, and I'll see you next time.